potato guy. Oh my goodness. I don't know what it is. It looks like a shoe.
Hi, everybody. I'm a little early. When the opportunity presents itself, you just do it. Hope everybody's doing great. It's been a heck of a week. We'll talk about that later. If you're here, let me know. As usual with the strange Facebookness, it's hard for me to know who's here and who's not. Looks like there's some of you here, so say hello, please, if you don't mind. I'm drinking my Diet Pepsi. It's usually Diet Coke. Listen, this campaign is fueled on Diet Coke and coffee and potato chips. Here's William. So, excuse me while I drink my caffeine. Hope you guys are all doing okay. The air quality's terrible again. The heat's terrible again. It feels a lot like August and not October. I don't know if everybody else is feeling that way, but it just feels strange. If you're noticing that I look a little different, hopefully my hairdresser is not on here because I had a minute. I cut my hair. Actually, my husband cut my hair in the backyard with a pair of kitchen scissors, so it's a little shorter in spots. But it's a lot less heavy. I recommend that everybody go get a haircut. It feels good. It's like kind of liberating, actually. So we are live at 5. Like I said, I am a little early. If you are here, please let me know. Give me a hello. I'd love to say hi back. And please make sure that you remember to share this on your Facebook page so we can reach more people. William says hello. So who's here? I see you. There's the little magical number, but I don't know who it is. So tonight we're going to talk about cannabis part 2, and we are going to talk a little bit about Measure O. And actually, the two things are related. And I'm going to explain how, and it's really strange. But I didn't put them together, but they're definitely together now. So we're going to talk about cannabis, and we're going to talk about Measure O, and hopefully I'm going to put some fears to rest and some concerns to rest. And at the top, we're going to talk a little bit. First, we'll go over the rules of the road for the Live at 5 if you haven't been with us before. Hi, Larice. Nice to see you. And then we'll talk a little bit about some campaign housekeeping, some upcoming events. I do want to just touch briefly on the mayor's forum that was held Monday. That seems like 2 weeks ago, but it was actually just Monday. So we're going to touch on that just a little bit. Hi, Heather. How are you? Good to see you. So just, if you've never joined me before on a Live at 5, I am the mom of 3 and several pets. It can get chaotic in the background. Don't worry. We have it all under control. And hopefully there won't be any interruptions tonight. We've done really well so far. If you see the signs behind me, those we do still have some available. So if we haven't got a chance to get you a sign yet, please let us know right away. If you live in Trilogy, not tomorrow, but the day after, you get to put your sign out. Expect an email from the campaign letting us know Marianne is present. Expect an email from us reminding you that you can put your sign out officially on October 4th or midnight of October 3rd, as my friend Roxanne Cooper is doing. She's up anyway, so, she can do that. And remember to share this if you don't mind, share this on your Facebook. That way we can get some more people in. We are going to talk. Hi, Amanda. So we have both of you on tonight. Are you like dueling computers? Marianne is present. Marianne, you missed it when I was just talking about cutting my hair in the backyard with a pair of kitchen scissors. So it's quite a bit shorter in some places. I noticed just now that I have this kind of longer spot right here, but it's actually sort of liberating. Like it feels good to kind of hack it all off and take some weight off your head. And Marianne, I thought you might appreciate that, since Marianne came over to my house yesterday and she got out of her car and I didn't even recognize her. She cut a lot of hair off. It's the COVID haircut season. Hi, Robin. Good to see you. Sue Clark wants a sign. She has a sign, but if she wants another sign, I'll get her a sign. And hi, Robin. I'm so glad you're here for Cannabis Part 2. Part of the reason why we're doing Cannabis twice is because my dear friend Robin couldn't make it to the last time we talked about this 2 weeks ago because it was Rosh Hashanah. So I hope you had a wonderful Rosh Hashanah, Robin, and I'm really glad that you're able to join us tonight. I'm going to give it just a couple more minutes, and we'll chatty chat. Randall's here. My sister's here. So expect a lot of links in the comments. She's in charge of that. She does a great job. You're welcome, Robin. By the way, Robin, I was talking to, I went to a candlelight vigil for RBG down at the end of Main Street, which was really great. I needed to do it. And somebody asked me about astronomy. And I was like, oh my gosh, I know this lady named Robin, and her husband's like the astronomy dude. Their daughter is like super interested in astronomy, and she is 13 and wants to get a telescope and learn how to use it and all that stuff. So I may partner you guys up so you can teach her all things astronomy, because I don't know. All right, guys. So if you missed the mayoral forum, wasn't a debate, on Monday, which was sponsored by Riya Vision, you really missed a good time. Please feel free to peruse my page, and you'll see a link to my intro for that said forum, as well as a link to the entire thing. It runs about an hour and a half, but there's great stuff in there. We aren't going to talk about the last 5 minutes, even though I'm sure everybody wants me to talk about the last 5 minutes, but I don't want to. Tonight we're going to talk a little bit about cannabis, and it's actually pretty timely that we're going over this again, because your current mayor mentioned cannabis in his introduction, as well as his answers to questions during the forum, a total of 7 times. So obviously Robin's broadcast keeps getting frozen. It's working fine on my end, Robin, I believe. Anybody else having any challenge? Please pipe up. Sometimes it helps to go out and then come back in. Facebook can be weird that way. So the mayor mentioned it in the mayor's forum. He mentioned it a total of 7 times. So obviously it's something that is at the forefront of our city, and a lot of... Okay, Marianne's having problems too. Everybody turn off the Wi-Fi in the Gollinger house. Let me know if it gets better. I just had everybody turn off their Wi-Fi in my house, because even though we have switched to Comcast, let me know if it gets better. Okay, so Randall already voted. Congratulations, Randall. I appreciate you. We'll talk about that too. So the mayor, obviously feels that cannabis is really important, and he is on his webpage and all the campaign materials that I have seen, his primary focus and his most talked about accomplishment is the cannabis that he has brought to Rio Vista. I just want to put a few things to rest, and this is actually one of the things that unfortunately Robin missed it last week, 2 weeks ago when we talked about it. But so I showed you charts, I showed you a lot map, I showed you all those things. Please feel free to go back and watch the live. But the gist of it is that yes, we have cannabis in Rio Vista. We currently have, as far as I know, 3 operating cannabis facilities. However, I may have forgotten one, and that's Cal Vista. So we have Rio Vista Farms, we have T4 Manufacturing. That's a hemp producer. We have Hayes, which is a dispensary. That's on St. Francis Way across from Asta Construction. And we have Cal Vista, who I believe Cal Vista is a strictly indoor growing operation. But to be honest with you, I'll admit it. And like I always do, I don't know. There's so many to try to keep track of out there. A grand total of 13. 13 lots have been sold to cannabis-related industries. But like I said 2 weeks ago, and I will repeat it now, I don't think we have to worry about that. I think actually what we need to worry about now is that the city is projecting a lot of their budgeting forecasts based on those 13 lots being built out and having operational businesses on it. You are going to keep hearing a number as we talk about this, and that's going to be 2 million. So I want you guys to keep that in mind. If you saw this week's Beacon, you saw Mayor Cott's ad where he talks about the $2 million windfall that he has secured for the city. So that is based on a projection that next year the city thinks that, again, thinks that they're going to take in approximately $500,000 in sales tax revenue and developer fees from the 13 businesses that they've sold to cannabis. I have a hard time with the idea, and maybe I'm a cynic. I have a hard time with the idea imagining that, it took 3 years to get 3 businesses open, essentially, and up and running and producing revenue. I don't think that in a year, all the rest of the 10 lots are going to fill up and start producing revenue, especially with COVID. Hi, Connie. And especially with the cannabis industry in and of itself kind of taking this bell-shaped curve of growth. So we saw a huge uptick in growth, and we hit the peak. And when we hit the peak, literally there were people pounding on the doors to get into Rio Vista. That is true. I won't deny that. But I think we're on the downward slope of cannabis. I don't think cannabis is going to become illegal in California, nor do I think it should be. Excuse me. I voted for the legalization of recreational marijuana in Rio Vista, or in the state of California. Proud of that vote. I just think, with that legalization came a lot of opportunity for the state of California to tax the heck out of the industry. And not only is the state of California taxing them, but we're taxing them on the local level too. That, overtaxation of industry is generally not a good thing for industry. We could argue the merits of that until we're blue in the face. But the reality of it is because they're subject to a lot of tax and a lot of developer fees, it's going to make it really difficult and a challenge for these companies who don't have a lot of capital to start with to get going, to get built, to get operational. So I think that $500,000, well, for one, I know that $200 million, that $2 million windfall that the mayor keeps claiming he secured for the city is a lie. And I'm starting to suspect that the $500,000 that the city is projecting is also probably not going to be real accurate. So what does that mean for the city? So here's the thing. In a lot of ways, and this is how the Measure O is going to get tied into this conversation. In a lot of ways, it is not the big bad boogeyman that everybody thinks it is if we aren't making $2 million from our business park. I'm frozen on Connie's now. Did everybody turn off their Wi-Fi? Okay. It isn't the $2 million boogeyman that the mayor, claims it to be, which is, let me frame it a different way, that if we don't get the $2 million that he's secured for the city is in this windfall, that we're all gonna go bankrupt and burst into flames. No, that's not the case. That's not the thing. We didn't have the no kidding, Patricia, you were late again. Lori says it's Facebook. Close your app completely and come back out. I agree with that. Should I start over? I think I'm just going to keep plowing ahead. So it isn't, because it's extra money. Like, that's how I look at it. But so we had the 47-acre business park sitting there undeveloped. That part's true. Cannabis was legalized and the city saw an opportunity to develop the business park. They jumped on the opportunity. The goal of the mayor was always for it to be cannabis, never for it to be anything else. Thank God we had some wonderful council members who have insisted that the lots that basically butt up against the fence of the Homecoming development not be cannabis related business. But because we haven't diversified the park, we're probably going to be looking at a lot of empty lots for a long time. And, because we put all the eggs in one basket, it isn't going to be the windfall that we thought it was going to be. And it's not really the worst news in the world, to be honest with you. As of this moment, the business park is about $1.2 million in the hole to the general fund. So what that means is we spent about $6.5 million developing the business park. So that's sidewalks, pipes, PG&E, those kinds of things. The city spent about $6.5 million doing that. And the land sales from the cannabis totaled about, 4.5 million. That's a rough guesstimate. It's probably more like 3 million. And then they borrowed the rest from an enterprise fund. So technically, right now, as of this moment, the general fund has been reimbursed and is in the good, right? So it is we haven't lost any, we haven't gained any, unless you count that $1.2 million we borrowed from the enterprise fund, which is a whole nother discussion for a whole other day. Where the rub really does come in is if we are counting on sales tax and developer fees from these businesses when we're making budget projections, then we've got a problem because we're betting on the come. That's now my new favorite saying, since I heard now that it's a craps term and it's totally safe for me to use. We're betting on the come. We're betting that it's at some point next year, those 13 lots are just going to miraculously, businesses are going to pop up, get open, and start operating. I don't see it. And maybe I'm wrong, and it's possible that I am. But let me just run some numbers for you guys just real quick. So I looked at the city's budget, and again, you can find this on the city's budget. This is actually, if Jen can throw up the link, I would appreciate her. On page 55, I actually wrote down in my notes, on page 55 of the city's budget, and then I wrote, oh my God. So one of the things that the mayor, I got new glasses, guys, and they have an old lady chain. So that's where we're at. So one of the things that the mayor bragged about in the mayor's forum, if you haven't had a chance to watch it, I promise you'll love it. One of the things he bragged about was that he simplified the budget, and it's so much easier for everybody to read. Oh my God, that's not my experience. And I know that they'll just take this opportunity to tell me that I'm dumb again, but it's not easy to read. But if you go to page 55, there's actually a really great summary on cannabis specifically. And in the 18-19 budget year, they took in basically $107,000 in sales tax and developer's fee. In 1920 year, okay, so that's last year. Marianne, I'm just going to let that comment go by. It's so sophisticated. We'll talk about that later too. That I'm crude, apparently. In the 1920 budget, so that's last year, right? This isn't even like a firm number. This is actually a projected number, so this isn't an audited number, what they call. So this is what they thought in the 1920 calendar year that they would take in. Was $340,000 roughly. And that, again, is sales tax and developer fees. So we went from that to, in the 2021 budget, so the year 2020 and the year 2021 budget. So that's our budget for next year. They're projecting that the city is going to take in $563,034 in sales tax revenue and developer fees. That's projected. That's just, we're future forecasting there. And then in the year 21-22, so that will be the following year, they're projecting the same. And in the following year after that, 22-23, guess what? They're projecting the same. So where's the $2 million windfall? I'm confused. So I don't know. I don't know, you guys. And oh God, look, I have dueling glasses actually. I cracked myself up. So on that same page, on page 55, you're going to read like a nice little narrative actually that was probably written by our city manager. And actually, it genuinely, no sarcasm intended here, it was helpful. However, there is what I hope is a typo, which is, Jen's putting up a screenshot. What I hope is a typo. They say in there that they're expecting 6 more dispensaries to open in Rio Vista. I can tell you right now that's not going to happen. And the reason why I know it's not going to happen is because our ordinance only allows 3. So unless there's some plan down the road for your mayor and to change the ordinance to allow 6 dispensaries, that certainly wouldn't happen with this mayor. That's not going to happen. So maybe it's a typo. I don't know. So let's talk about another assertion. And this is a touchy one, and I kind of hate to bring it up, but it was brought up multiple times in the mayor's forum, and it has been brought up multiple times in the mayor's campaign talking points. And that is that, isn't it great that Rio Vista Farms employs 150 people? And friends, I really wish that when I had been on the mayor's forum, that when that came up and the mayor said that, I really wish that I had jumped on the opportunity to say, prove it. So this is something that Rio Vista Farms really loves to claim, and that is that they're employing 150 people. I don't think they are. So let me tell you why I don't think so. Now, please don't get me wrong. This is not a slam on Rio Vista Farms, and I'm not trying to, campaign against them. I'm not running against Rio Vista Farms. I'm glad they're here. I have said it in multiple lives. You can go way back. And I have said they're plugged into the community, and I'm glad they're here, and I think they're contributing, and that. So please don't take it that way. But I think facts matter, right? I think it's important when we're talking about the engine of the economy, as the economic engine that's driving this city. That's what COT likes to call the cannabis industry. If we are talking about that, I think we need to have our facts straight. If we are projecting what we're going to be forecasting for income for the next 2 budget cycles, I think the facts matter, right? I think the truth matters. So please don't take this as a slam on Rio Vista Farms. That's not what I'm doing at all. But I just think you guys need to have, I think we as citizens and the city itself needs to have all the facts and accurate information. So if you go on the magical website or the magical internets, if you go to Dun & Bradstreet, Dun & Bradstreet does a great job. They do profiles on individual companies, usually just LLCs, but they do a little profile, a little write-up of what the companies are. And Dun & Bradstreet says about Rio Vista Farms that they are estimated to bring in $5 million in revenue, which is totally possible with Cocoa Farms because they're doing the business over there. But they say they have 17 employees. So I thought, well, that's strange. So I digged a little further, right? So I thought, well, let's just get it from the horse's mouth. So I went to LinkedIn, right? That's LinkedIn. That's a page that's created by them. So I went to LinkedIn, and on LinkedIn, Rio Vista Farms claims they have 11 to 50 employees. So I thought, well, that's strange. Let me just go to EDD, right? So EDD is the Employment Development Department for the state of California. EDD is going to have the accurate information because, of course, they're paying payroll taxes, and that's how EDD keeps track of your payroll taxes, is by verifying how many employees you have on your payroll. EDD says 10 to 19 employees. So I don't know is the answer. I don't know how many employees they have. I know somebody who works there who guesstimates maybe 50. So the truth of it is we don't know. And it's very similar to the argument about cash receipts. This is something that I have talked about a lot with several people, and that is, thank you, Jen. And that is that, it is a cash business. Through no fault of their own. That has a lot to do with the federal government, and that's a discussion for another day. If I had my preference, the federal government would recognize cannabis as a safe product and take it off their Schedule I drug class, whatever. And we would actually create a system where, cannabis industries can operate legitimately through banking. However, that's not the case. So it is sort of a cash business. And so this is one of the things that I brought up at my last live at 5. Who's checking the receipts at the city? I don't know. Jen Lee, who is our finance director as a city, who is so amazing, y'all. If you had ever had the chance to read a staff report written by Jen Lee, you've really missed a treat. She's fantastic. But I don't know. Is she the one who's like literally verifying the cash receipts versus what Rio Vista Farms is reporting, or Hayes is reporting, or T4 is reporting, or I don't know. I genuinely don't know whose job that is at City Hall. And I'm afraid that it's nobody's job, to be honest with you. And I'm not trying to say that these guys are trying to pull a fast one on the city. That's not what I'm saying at all. Again, facts matter when we're trying to make projections about budgets for next year, right? So don't we want as a city to have all the information and for that information to be accurate so we can accurately budget for upcoming years? I think we do. And again, this is something that your current mayor touts as one of his greatest accomplishments. Maybe it started off okay, and we just haven't followed through. I really don't know. That'd be my guess. So how this ties into Measure O, and this. I don't know how this became a controversial topic, but Measure O has become a controversial topic. If you don't know what Measure O is a sales tax that you're already paying. It's a 0.75% sales tax. And this is important to remember. Rio Vista is still the lowest sales tax rate in all of Solano County, even with that 0.75%. You have been paying it. And now what the city is doing is asking us to renew the sales tax for another 5 years. There's a lot of concern, and I will say that I hear your concern, and I think it's probably somewhat legitimate that there is a general mistrust for any fund, any amount of money that goes into the general fund. That's not just a Rio Vista problem. That's a state problem. That's a federal problem. That's a politics problem. Is that we don't trust our elected representatives to spend the money the way A, they say they're going to, or B, we think they should. So on the mayor's forum, I gave the opportunity for the other candidates to pledge that the Measure O funding would be used for public safety. They chose not to take it. I was the only one who did. And totally to be fair, it has been spent on public safety since its existence. It has always gone to police and fire and a little bit public works. I actually was one of the very few people who was advocating for more to go to public works back in the beginning. Thank you, Jen. So I was the only one who took the opportunity to reassure voters that, as far as I'm concerned, Measure O money is going to public safety. That's where it has been going. That's where it will continue to go. And yes, I am only one vote on the city council. I am not 5 votes. And I don't pretend to be. And no, I won't be strong-arming anybody to support my view. But I think when you have an obligation as the mayor to sort of set the tone of what you expect your fellow city council people to do. And I think that, as a mayor, you're in a unique position to really help the city council to get the best information and to make decisions based on that information. And, literally, if we don't pass Measure O, guys, firefighters are going to get fired. I'm not even going to mince words about it and try to put some flowers and some rainbows and some unicorns on it. Literally, we are going to have staff at Rio Vista Fire Department who are no longer employed by the city of Rio Vista. Yes, the resolution does state, thank you, Deborah, that 99% will go to public safety. So that's our fire department. A measly 1% is going to public works. So that's how, when the discussion happens at the mid-year budget review, when Chief Jeff Armstrong goes to the council and asks for 2 more firefighter positions so we can actually staff 2 engines during the day, that's where that money's going to come from, friends. It's going to come from Measure O money. And we need 2 fire engines staffed. So, please, in your heart of hearts, search deep. trust me when I say that Measure O, trust Deborah King, who's on here, who's also running for council, when she says Measure O will be spent on public safety. Now, what does Measure O have to do with cannabis? The mayor is talking a lot about his $2 million windfall. And that's not, by the way, my word, that's his word, windfall. He is talking about that $2 million windfall on Facebook. He's put an ad in the paper. He talked about it during the mayor's forum. He's very, very proud of this windfall that's allegedly going to come to the city of Rio Vista. Now, it's weird because the $2 million windfall is almost exactly the Measure O money. He's working against the city's interest, frankly, friends, because somebody made the comment on Nextdoor and they were 100% right. Why should I pass a sales tax, measure if all this money's pouring in from the cannabis businesses? That's a great question. I want to answer that for you guys tonight. There is no $2 million windfall, friends. And if there is, God bless it, I hope I'm wrong. But the numbers don't bear it out. Like I'm looking at the numbers and I can't come up with $2 million in the next year or 2, 3 or 4, whatever. I can't. I just can't do it. So, I understand that the current mayor needs as many talking points as he can to convince you that he's done extraordinary things for this city and you should reelect him. Check that. You should elect him for the first time. But working against Measure O, and essentially working against our fire department, who's working their tails off to get Measure O passed, I don't get it. I think it's, frankly, I think it's a little unethical. I think it's unethical to make these figures up and use it as a talking point when you know that it is going to work against getting Measure O passed, which we need Measure O to pass. Yeah. So that's what I got. And we could talk about some more things. I do want to just let me go up in the comments and see if anybody has any questions before I get too off topic, because I do that. Okay. Does everybody have their frozen issues fixed? I hope. Randall already voted. I think that's great. Robin says that's enough. 13 is too many. Yes. I agree with you, Robin. And I wish I had a Wayback Time machine, and I don't. But here we are, and I said 2 weeks ago, there's nothing that I can do going forward to, we have what we have. And let's hope that our friends who are out of town, land buyers who are buying these other lots that aren't being developed, let's hope that they change strategies. Honestly, we may have a few who go, we were thinking about doing cannabis, but I think we're going to grow some lettuce instead. We're going to do a hydroponics. That'd be cool. So, again, I have said it before and I'll say it again. Please don't be scared. It's not the boogeyman. There's a lot of boogeymaning in this race right now. It's the October surprise. Everybody's the boogeyman. It is not the boogeyman that you all think it is, because I really think, based on economic forecasts, and by the way, I'm not making any of this up, based on economic forecasts, cannabis is settling. I would not say that it's tanking. Nobody's going out of business. But I think that the drive to open new businesses, I think it's sort of settled now. We'll see. It may come back. But hopefully by then we've diversified the business park by actually marketing it to other industries, which was never done, period. Maybe if we start marketing it to other industries, we could see a diversification in that business park. And so you won't notice the cannabis so much. Does that make sense? And what will they do with that money? So, Robin, that money is going into the general fund. So so developer fees and sales tax fees, those all go into the general fund. It isn't a separate fund. It's going in the one big pot where, all the great stuff comes out of. So I'm sorry. Let me take that back. So once the business park is paid off, it goes into the general fund, which the business park is technically about $1.2 million short right now. So once that is allegedly paid back to the enterprise fund that we borrowed it from, then it's all profit from then on, and that will go into the excuse me, will go into the general fund. 47 acres of weeds. Yeah, that's what it looks like right now. And it's super frustrating because we already have a code enforcement issue in Rio Vista, and so we just added 47 acres of code enforcement issues. And I am sophisticated. So yes, it's totally possible, Deborah and Marianne, that it could be, and Patricia, that 150 employees could be spread out over both locations. Cocoa Farms is very big. It is a bigger facility. They do a lot more business over there. So yes, it's possible. But there's no way they're fitting 150 employees in the facility in Rio Vista. Frankly, they don't have the square footage for it. So if we're combining both locations, Cocoa Farms and Rio Vista Farms, okay, but can you tell us that? Because we're trying to make some economic forecasts here, and so we need some actual real data. Jen posted the Dun & Bradstreet link, and the LinkedIn link, and the Measure O link. She's so good. Yes, Patricia, this will be available on YouTube later, as usual. I'm still cutting in and out. Rick Dulk has some good ideas on how to go forward. Yes, he does. And now it has the needed infrastructure. Yes, it does now have the needed infrastructure. So now what we've got to do is figure out how we promote it. The city has not historically been very good at marketing itself in any way, shape, or form. So yes, this is going to be important going forward, that we have a council and a mayor who's really future focused, and who really wants to market Rio Vista as a great place to have working families, and a great place, for that kind of demographic. So, it's great that there's infrastructure there. I won't take that away from Ron Cott. I just think it's kind of crappy the way we paid for it. Thank you, Pete. So let me talk just briefly about a couple of things. If you guys have any more questions about cannabis and Measure O, shoot them in the comments right now. I am going to diverge just a little bit, and do just a quick little bit of housekeeping. So about, 4 lives ago, we had a conversation. Excuse me, Kathy. We had a conversation about my time on Planning Commission. And, I said at the time that I was going to, post my letter of resignation from Planning Commission and the response from Mayor Cott when I did resign. And I just realized after a very long day answering bizarre questions on Nextdoor about me, that I failed to do that. So I will be posting those to you tonight, but I thought, since I have a captive audience, and that we'll just read it and we'll just have a story time. So I was on Planning Commission when Rio Vista Farms came to town, and when we set up the cannabis ordinance and redid it about 5 times while I was on there. So while that makes me by no means an expert on all things cannabis, I did have sort of a bird's eye view of how the whole thing went down. And I think actually you guys might learn something from my resignation letter, which, by the way, is posted on Nextdoor, but I'm going to make sure to get it on Facebook tonight. So I get a lot of talk, and I get a lot of texts, and I get a lot of comments about I'm a quitter. It's because I resigned from Planning Commission. So I just want to put the baby to bed, so to speak, and talk a little bit about why I left Planning Commission. So here it goes. So this is a letter that I wrote to all the city council members at the time, and I'll tell you who those people were. That was Mayor Ron Cott, Vice Mayor Constance Bulware, Councilperson Hope Cohn, and Don Ruse, and Dave Hampton. So this is the particular letter that is to the Honorable Mayor Cott, City of Rio Vista, dated June 21st, 2018. Dear Honorable Mayor Ron Cott, without exception, the Planning Commission of the City of Rio Vista is made up of thoughtful, dedicated people working in the best interest of the city and its citizens. I still think that's true, by the way. The League of California Cities holds the following values as most important in a planning commissioner: fairness, compassion, respect for others, responsibility, integrity, vision, and public trust. I strongly believe that the current Planning Commission is made up of people with these values. I still think it's true, by the way. However, in the past year, conditions have made doing our jobs with the above qualities in mind frustratingly difficult. I want to provide you with a few examples that have led me to write this letter today. As long as I have served on the commission, information. As long as I have served on the commission, we have been asking to receive our packets from staff earlier. Just a little aside, when you serve on planning commission, which I hope some of you get the opportunity to do because you do learn a lot and it is very enlightening and I highly recommend it. But especially at the time when we were approving a lot of conditional use permits for cannabis facilities and new businesses, your agenda packet with the agenda, and then for every action item you have on it, you get all the backup documentation, which includes a lot of maps and charts and things like this. At some weeks, the packet could be yay thick. So we're talking a substantial amount of information. So oftentimes we are given information on the fly. Agenda packets are oftentimes available just a few days before our meetings, and on more than one occasion, we have been given corrections and or changes to agenda items at the meeting itself. Staff is unprepared. The Planning Commission should be supported by staff, and we rely on them to be the expert on an issue. On more than one occasion, questions have been asked of staff and they were either unprepared with information or supplied incorrect information to the commission. I could keep going. Circumvention of planning decisions. This is the important one because I think it's still going on, friends. The Planning Commission spends a great amount of time poring over plans and documents, both in the meeting and offline on their personal time. We're talking like 10, 12 hours per packet. Thoughtful consideration is given to each and every item that comes before us. It is exceedingly frustrating to see our decisions and direction to applicants be supplanted by staff. You need to look no further than the building Rio Vista Farm occupies to see the differences between the plans that were submitted and approved by Planning Commission and what actually was built. So I can keep going, but there's more. But this is, a very long 2-page letter to the mayor and the fellow city council people explaining why I resigned from Planning Commission, which are, I believe, probably still reasons. Those reasons are probably still happening today. I know that it happened after I was gone. No changes were made. So I just want to put to the rest, I am not a quitter. I never quit a thing. You need to look no further than my family. I don't quit anything. So I just wanted to get out in front of that and apologize for not putting the link up sooner. It was not an attempt to hide something. It was me getting distracted. Which, that happens. So what other questions do you guys have? I got my ballot. Where is it? I got my ballot, y'all. I got it. I think it's on the table over there. I got it day before yesterday. Got my ballot. And I am holding on to my ballot because I like to vote in person. So I will, on November 3rd, be going down to City Hall. Here it is. Let me just open it. I will be going down to City Hall to cast my vote. It's my tradition to vote in person, and that's okay. And it's okay if you have a different tradition, or if you're creating a new tradition this year with COVID. So if you have any questions about voting, we did talk about it last week, but I'm happy to go over it again. And oh, by the way, still the only mayoral candidate who's talking about the different ways you can vote safely. Apparently nobody else thinks they need to. So this is what your ballot looks like. If you haven't yet seen it, this is it. Oh, sorry, Marianne, I got sidetracked again. I do that sometimes. Cott's response to my, hold on, we'll get back to my ballot. Marianne asked, what was Cott's response to my resignation letter? I didn't read you the whole thing because it's just, whatever, I went on. But he said, Cott's response to my resignation letter is an email dated Monday, July 25th, 2018, from Ron Cott, and it's entitled Resignation. And he says, hi, Emily. I received your letter of resignation from the Planning Commission. Reading the reasons for your frustrations was informative, and I can see why you felt you could no longer serve. I've only attended a few Planning Commission meetings, as I have other commission meetings at the same time, so I have not directly observed the actions you reference. However, your assertions are not surprising, as I have experienced some of the same at the City Council level. I and the other council members have pressed staff to improve the timeliness of packages, complete presentations, and accurate data, and now I feel we have made progress in that regard. I will now work with the city manager and the planning chair to develop the same practices for that commission. While you may not be directly involved with city commissions, I do hope you will continue to advocate for youth programs and soccer facilities, as I believe the city needs to move forward in these areas, and citizen input is what keeps things in the forefront. I could not agree more. I want to thank you for your work on the Planning Commission. While we may not always agree, dissenting opinions are what the democratic process is all about, and what opens us up to new ideas. So I'll post that too. Anyway, so here's your ballot. Looks like this. It's way bigger than I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be like a 2-pager. That was a lie. It's a 4-pager, friends. It's a 4-pager. And it's part of the reason is I totally forgot about the slew of propositions that are going to be on this thing. There's going to be a lot of studying to do. So here I am. I'm your second candidate. Ruther. There I am. Isn't that great? And then you've got your council members. Right down there. And then you have poor Rick all by himself. It's going to be hard to vote for him. Just kidding. And then you have the state propositions. So, yeah, I'm not going to talk about those. And then you go to page 4. So this page 3 is still more state propositions. You get to page 4, and that's where you're going to find your local propositions. So here is Measure J. So that's our local school bond initiative. It's a refurbishment bond for the River Delta Unified School District. I am endorsing it. You can ask me questions about that if you like, actually. Please vote yes on Measure J. And then then below that you have Measure O. It's alphabetical, friends. It's not biased in any way. And it'll describe it a little bit to you here. And this is Measure O. And please vote yes on Measure O. So then that's the end of your ballot. It's a lot. You have a lot of studying to do about propositions. We could talk about them if you guys want to, but I don't really want to. It's a lot. It's a lot. And even, I've heard people who, if you go to like Ballotpedia, I don't know if anybody's ever used Ballotpedia, but Ballotpedia is a really great resource because you can look up actual ballot initiatives on there. They'll give you the pros and the cons and all that stuff. But even Ballotpedia is having a hard time getting information on some of the propositions. 22 is one of them. It's going to be tough. It's a tough study. I did hear that your voter book, so your information booklet, that looks like this. This is Solano County's version. You will also get a version from the Secretary of State of California, which is going to give you more information about those state ballot initiatives. Oh, yeah, this is what it looked like for the primary election. It looked like this. Oh, well. So it's not going to look just like this, but for this year, this is your state primary, so it's thicker generally. And that's going to give you more information about your propositions. Those are delayed from the state of California. Who's surprised? You might have to use the website in order to find it. And then this is inside your your county voter pamphlet on page, looks like page 2, 3, 4, 5. On page 5, you're going to find that really cool chart that I have on my refrigerator that gives you all the drop-off locations and voting locations in the county of Solano. This is a really handy reference. I still get this question almost every day. Where can I drop off my ballot? So this is the magic right here. Okay. You can also find it online at the Registrar of Voters. Let me look at the questions while I've been blathering on. What's cost for like later? Okay, thank you. Vote for King and Ruse. Processes are still problematic. Too many items on the consent calendar that don't belong. 100%, Deborah. I really appreciate you bringing that up. I probably don't have a lot of city council junkies, that's what I call us now, on the live tonight, but there are just a handful of us that attend like every city council meeting. I can't beat Deborah, she's only missed one, but I do have a handful that I've missed. So if you pay attention to the city council's agenda that is available on the website, or if you're in person watching, you'll notice that a lot of the items go on what's called the consent calendar. So what a consent calendar is they basically combine a lot of items, and all those items can be passed with an up or down vote. There doesn't have to be any discussion or anything. What the consent calendar is supposed to be used for is routine items, and usually that's like the minutes from the last meeting that nobody wants to talk about, the check register. It's the ticky-tack operations that happen every month at the city. Those still have to go on the agenda, and they still have to be read and processed. Your council members and your mayor are still reading those, but there doesn't need to be this lengthy discussion, nor does there need to be public comment taken on those issues necessarily. So it goes on a consent calendar item so that it can just be passed with an up or down vote. Lately, we've been seeing something different, which is a lot of items being placed on the consent calendar that do demand discussion, that should garner questions, not just from council members and the mayor, but from the public. And to staff. Staff does need to explain some of the things that are going on consent calendars, on the agenda items. So those items should be action items. Now, when something is an action item, it is the staff generally gives a report on that item, and then the council members have the opportunity to ask questions of staff, and then they open it up to the public for comment or questions, and then they close the item, and then they can further deliberate, and then they can vote. We can totally guess about why things are going on the consent calendar, but if I had to guess, it's because Jeopardy's on at 8:00. You will notice that I don't believe there has been a single meeting. No, I don't want to say that, but there have been very few meetings that have run longer than an hour under this current mayor. He's in a hurry. And so, the public really cramps that style. So I'm going to guess that's why things go on consent calendars, because we don't really want to talk about them. We just want them to just magically go away. I'm the opposite of that. I would say that I like to talk about things. I like to listen to things. I want to hear different opinions about things, because it does sometimes change your mind. And Deborah says far too many meeting cancellations at the last minute. Cancellations used to place on the agenda in advance for approval. So this is something that I said like 4 weeks ago in a live at 5, and that was that as your mayor, I would never cancel a city council meeting. So for the 4 years you have me, I will never cancel a city council meeting unless I'm in the hospital, and even then I'll try to figure out how to do it remotely. And you know why? And this is one of the things that really bugs me. And, I've heard this said multiple times. Well, we cancel city council meetings because there's no business to discuss. Okay, but what about the public comment? The public comment, frankly, is just as valuable as the business the city council might discuss. It is the only opportunity in the month that the public has to get before city council and talk to them and make them aware of things that are important to them. I mean, genuinely, our current mayor does not hold publicized office hours. He didn't before COVID, so don't let him use that excuse. So there are no publicized office hours for you to go into City Hall, sit down with the mayor, and express your needs or your concerns about an issue. So really, right now, the only way you can do that is through public comment. But if you're canceling city council meetings, and only going to basically, I mean, right now we're at one a month, one city council meeting a month. If that's the only, and even if COVID wasn't a thing, that would be your only opportunity to get in front of your elected representatives to talk to them. That's not right. So yeah, I won't cancel meetings. I will have publicized office hours. We are going to share the office. Turns out that was really controversial when I said that on the mayor's forum. That was surprising to me. The mayor has an office. City council doesn't have an office. If the people you elect to be city council members want to hold office hours so that they can meet with the public and be available, there is no place for them to do that at City Hall. So that changes on November 3rd. The mayor's office is going to become the city councilor's office. I will stake my claim and I will have office hours, but I am encouraging city council members to use the office as well and to stake their claim on certain times as well so that they can be available to the public. Because we are all in it together. So, what other questions do you guys have? I do not, nor have I ever owned a hair salon in the state of Oregon. Said it public. And the best way to verify that is to look at my hot mess of a head of hair. If I knew how to cut hair, y'all, do you think I'd be walking around with this head? There was a 25 or so comment thread on Nextdoor about me owning a hair salon in Oregon. I don't, never have. I mean, look at it. I took when COVID first started, all my boys needed a haircut, of course, because like the minute we got locked down, everybody's hair grew 6 inches overnight or something, and they all look like ragamuffins. And I'm like, okay, we gotta cut the hair. So we're out there in the backyard with the clippers. Poor Henry, I got a little too close, and the poor kid, he was bald. Trust me, I'm not a qualified hairdresser, and the people who are amazing. So yeah, that's not me. I don't know why. That's so funny. But we can talk about hairdressers, and we can talk about that they're back in business, right? Yay! And I'm really glad they are. But let's talk about the reality of being a hairdresser in Rio Vista. If you cut hair in Rio Vista, there's no place for your kid to go for daycare. There's no place for your kid to go after school for after school program. So that eats into your profits, right? So if you're a hairdresser in Rio Vista, you have to, and your kids are in school, let's pretend COVID's not here and our kids are actually back in the classroom, which, by the way, my competitor did not know. So if your kids are at school, so you can only cut hair if you're a hairdresser in the city of Rio Vista between the hours of 8:20 and 2:50. And then guess what? You're back on mom duty. That really kind of eats into your bottom line. It's hard to make a living, especially if you're a single mom, if you're doing that. Just saying. Does anybody want to ask me some follow-up questions to the mayor's forum? If you got a chance to watch, I'd be more than happy to expound on any of that we talked about. I thought the questions were okay. I thought that they were some interesting overarching themes. So yeah, I mean, I think the questions played to one particular candidate's wheelhouse. But I think that your candidate slayed. Why is it controversial, Deborah? The mayor's office? Because that's the mayor's office, Deborah. There's a little bit of kingsmanship going on down at City Hall. I'm not interested in that. I'm not trying to be anybody's king or queen of Rio Vista. Thank you, Marianne. I got off the mayor's forum and I was feeling pretty good about myself. So, I thought the most interesting part of the whole thing, and maybe I shouldn't say this. Maybe we shouldn't talk. It is October though, so I guess all bets are off. I thought one of the most interesting and telling things of the whole night, and this is the thing that I wish people were talking about the next day, not the other thing that happened in the last 5 minutes. What I really wish people were talking about is that when the mayor got his chance to talk about what he could have done better as mayor, I think that his answer was completely spot on. I think he doesn't connect with people. He doesn't know how. It's not in his wheel set. It's not in his skill set, as Patty likes to remind me. It's not a skill set that he has. He doesn't know how to connect and listen. And frankly, as a city council person and as an appointed mayor, he's had 6 years to figure it out, guys. You're going to give him another 4? Because I don't think it's going to happen. So I thought that was the most important part of the forum. And so I do have a lot of regret that the only thing that people were talking about the day after were the last 5 minutes. Because I actually think that was the most important question of the night. I think that was the most telling answer of the night. Kudos to Mayor Cott for recognizing his own weakness. I appreciate that. I said, point blank, I'm not an accountant. I'm not a CPA. That's not my thing. So we do have to acknowledge our weaknesses, but for our sitting mayor to admit that he's not good with people. What was that question you talked about never worked? Deborah, clarify? Marianne said it's who he is. He's not going to change. I always hope for the best, and I always hope that people are going to change. I don't give up on people very easily. But the thing of it is, if you are not good at a particular aspect of a job, in fact, I would argue the most important aspect of a job, you probably should stop applying for it, friend. It's probably not for you, Trilogy folks can put their signs up this weekend, right? Ooh, Jen, good reminder. Thanks. Trilogy folks can put up their signs on the 4th. You will be getting an email from the campaign reminding you that you have a sign somewhere in your house. And you can put it up on the 4th. There are still some signs available, just a small handful. I'd be happy to get you some. Marianne, I did see your comment about Sue Clark, and I will get her another one. Yes, Marianne, he said he wished he'd listened to the public more. So yes, signs go up on the 4th. So just a couple quick housekeeping things. I will be in Homecoming tomorrow at 4 o'clock. We're having a little driveway rally at Kevin McNamara's house, and he is on the corner of Kelly and we just went through this last week. Why will this not stick in my head? What's the cross street in Homecoming for Kevin? We can't remember. I believe it's 743 Kelly Way. It's on my website, or it's on the Facebook page as an event. So you all are welcome to come. Please wear a mask and stay socially distanced. I will have a whole bunch of Go for Gollinger masks at this event. So if you haven't had a chance to grab one yet, I still have some left. I'd love to get them to you. My sister's posting a link in the comment about want to sign, and yes, you can email me at emily@goforgollinger.com. There's also a form you can fill out on my website if you'd rather go that route, and that is goforgollinger.com. Somebody's displaying the sign behind me very nicely, by the way. That would be Henry. Love it. So you know what, Mom, to be honest with you, the 3rd, my mom said not the 3rd. Oops, I told my people tomorrow. I mean, come on. So the 4th is technically 30 days before the election because there's 31 days in October. Not bad. Y'all can deal with the HOA consequences. Roxanne Cooper is going to stay up till midnight, and she's going to put her sign out at midnight tomorrow. So, I mean, that's always an option. They can just say they were out of town. They wanted to make sure they got it up before the weekend. I don't know. I think it'll be fine. if it goes up 24 hours early. I know that there's signs up for my competitor right now, and they've been up for like the last 2 months, so whatever. Jen says, homecoming tomorrow at 4 p.m. Check out the Facebook page for more info. Yes, thank you, Jen. It's going to be a fun event. As I said in the last listening on the one, or in the last live at 5, Kevin's got this really cool outdoor fireplace thing that is in his front yard, and it's like this. It looks like it's like super space age technology. It's really awesome. So you'll get a chance to see it. Maybe he'll even put some wood in it for us, even though it's going to be hot. But I don't care. Outside fires, always good for me. So I'm not ignoring your comments in the thread, but I'm ignoring your comments in the thread, just so you know. Anything else you guys want to talk about? It's like the elephant in the freaking room. Oh, God. So, okay, so I'm just going to say this because y'all, this Sunday at 10 a.m. Yes. So we are having a little meetup in Trilogy on Sunday at 10 a.m. We're mobilizing some people. If you've gotten an email from me about it, you know what we're talking about. We're going to meet at the tennis court parking lots, and that'll be our boots on the ground door hanger event in Trilogy. So if you'd like to be involved in that, please feel free to email me at emily@goforcollinger.com. The same opportunity is going to present itself in core Rio Vista. So if anybody's interested, I know Donna's going to volunteer because she's so good at it. Then just email me or text me, let me know. We do have lots of door hangers still to get out in Rio Vista. We're also going to start phone banking. So if anybody is interested in phone banking, let me know. Y'all, it's super easy. It's actually kind of fun. So if you're interested in phone banking, that'll be starting, tomorrow night, really. So we'll just get you a list of phone numbers to call, and there's a script. It's super easy. Because again, my goal is to reach every single voter in Rio Vista, one way or the other. So let me just say this: I will just sort of address the last 5 minutes of the mayor's forum because there's several comments about it. I'm so proud to be a stay-at-home mom. And for all the other stay-at-home moms, I see you. And it is very hard. It's the hardest job I've ever had. And I have had some hard jobs. I don't talk about my professional career. At one point, I made more money than my husband. Just saying. I don't talk about my professional career because the work I do shaping my little humans to be good people, the work I do shaping the 150 kids who play soccer with me every year, shaping them to be good people, the work I do at the school district, helping with those people, both adults and kid alike, the work I do in this community to connect with other people and to really care and to show compassion and to connect, that is infinitely more valuable to me than any paycheck I've ever earned. The pay for a stay-at-home mom is the best pay I've ever made. And that is that I get to be with my children and watch them grow up. And I am so fortunate that I get to do that. So stay-at-home moms, I see you. I see you when they try to diminish you. I see you when they say that you can't possibly run for mayor because, you don't have this long resume and all these wonderful accomplishments professionally. I see you. We're doing it. We're running for mayor, and we're going to win too. So that's all I'm going to say about it. It hurt my feelings for about 5 minutes that I was the only person who got asked that question in the mayor's forum in the year 2020. It hurt my feelings for a minute, and then I realized that I wasn't surprised. Yeah, that's what I'm going to say about that. I won't be diminished. So, somebody said about me that I'm feisty. Just a touch. So, that's all. I really, it was hurtful, and then we move on because, I don't want to talk about it because I know that, probably a good 99% of the stay-at-home moms that I know and the ones that I don't have had that question asked of them one way or the other in their life. And I also know that the working moms who I know and the ones I don't know have been asked that question, or it's been implied at one point or another in their life. That was not unique to me. That happens all the time, friends. Any more questions you guys have? My husband's making burritos, so tonight is the first night after 11/5 we're not eating tacos. We've gone burrito. My poor children, they don't like Mexican food, and that's all I cook. Any other questions? I love you too, Mom. Thanks for raising me. Anything else, you guys? This will be available on my Facebook. I feel like we didn't really talk a lot about cannabis and Measure O, but just to review. Hi, Samantha. Just to review, friends. Please vote yes on Measure O. Please feel free to shoot me an email if you want a dialogue about it. I'll meet you for coffee. We can talk. Same goes for Measure J. I know it's sort of a mystery item. I was actually at a meeting with the Measure J people yesterday. And all the days are starting to run together now. So I have a lot of great information about Measure J now. I have a folder. And, they did get a late start on the campaign, and they admit it, but, they were really busy trying to figure out how they were going to teach our kids remotely. So, let's give them a little bit of a pass. Okay, so Donna's having Filipino food at her parents' house in Vallejo, and it's their 55th wedding anniversary. Congratulations! What an awesome accomplishment, Donna. And if you can bring me some leftovers. Just saying. Is there lumpia involved? Because that's my favorite. Donna, can I share the story? Can I share your story that we talked about when we went to pizza about your voting? Let me know. So I don't remember what I was talking about. What was I talking about, Pete? Oh my gosh, I can't remember. I must be tired. Anyway, Measure J. So I have gotten quite a few emails about it and quite a few questions about it, and I'm happy to answer those. And I hope you guys know that I'm not trying to hard sell you on anything. I think that the choice absolutely is yours. I'm just telling you what I, as a person and as your mayoral candidate, I am endorsing both Measure J and Measure O. I think that if you don't vote for Measure O and Measure J, those are valid choices. We're not going to not become friends over it. So if you'd like to give me, some feedback, if you guys would like to ask me more questions, I'm more than happy to take those either here, or you can email me, or, shoot me a text message, whatever you guys want to do. I was going to tell a story about Donna, but I wanted to get permission to tell the story. And she's responding slowly because she's going to go have Filipino food without me. So the story that I wanted to tell is a personal story of hers about her voting experience. And so I really wanted to share that with you guys, but I really need her permission to tell it. So, hey, also, just thanks. I upgraded the lighting. I got one of those new little halo-y things, like that all the people use. I'm joining the 20th century. It's pretty exciting, and it actually helps a lot because I was super dark last week. And I just wanted to give. I don't think she's on tonight, but I just want to give a shout out. Just in particular, I just want to point her out. Kira Gifford. Kira Gifford, first-time voter this time around. She tuned in for my Live at 5 last week, had great questions. She was there the week before, too, and we talked about how all the ways she can vote and, tried to remove some of those fears for her. And I'm so proud of her. She was on the mayor's forum. I love it when I see young people getting engaged. That is right in my wheelhouse. So good job, Kira. I appreciate that you're paying attention and you're learning all about the things. So I'm super proud of you. So the story about Donna, so Donna and her family, Donna has 2 kids and a husband, obviously, but whatever. Her kids are the highlight. So we went out to dinner the other night, and we had a great time, and we were talking about voting. And Donna told me that I am the first mayor that she has ever voted for. And sorry. It's an honor, Donna. You honor me with your friendship. You honor me with your vote. Yeah, sorry. I shouldn't have told the story. Okay, so Deborah asks, is there any accountability with Measure O? And yes, there is. Hold on. Or Measure J. Hold on one second. So I don't have a live at 5. So I don't have a live at 5 scheduled for. I mean, I have one scheduled for next week, but we don't necessarily have a topic. There was a discussion about doing Caltrans, but if you guys would like to talk about Measure J, I actually think that might be more worthwhile. So let me just flip to the page. So these are the quick facts that were provided by the district. So the financial plan as presented to the board on February 18th, 2020. So it is a $47.5 million bond. That's the total amount to be authorized. The conservative estimate of funds they need to do the repairs and projects that they want to do is $44.5 million. So that's the conservative estimate. Y'all know what that means. They're not going to get as much done as they want to get done. So the conservative estimate of the debt service is $85.7 million. So they are estimating between $60,000 and $100,000 of assessed, and that's not market value, projected maximum tax levy for the 21-22 year. The 2021-22 is the projected first year of taxation, and they're estimating the term of the taxation to be 32 years. And $188.22 is the estimated amount Measure J would have added to the 2019-2020 tax bill for a home assessed at the approximate median value of $313,690. So 80% of the homes in the district are assessed at less than $400,000. There will be a bond oversight commission, and they will be doing performance audits on the bond. And they're also going to form a citizens oversight committee, and that committee will review and report on bond expenditures. Does that help, Deborah, or you want me to try to get more in depth? So if you don't know, and if you haven't been to any of our schools lately, they're gross. My daughter learns in a classroom that doesn't have air conditioning. So when she's back at school, which we'll have it eventually, they'll be back in the classroom. There's no reliable air conditioning in some classrooms and no reliable heat in others. The boys go to D.H. White Elementary School, where I tell them, I'm cutting out real bad. Anybody having the problem? Pete still sees me, but he's in the same house, so maybe, I don't know. So I'm losing people, so I'm going to guess that everybody's having the problem. Okay, so here's what we're going to do, guys. I'm going to go eat a burrito, but what we're going to do is I think we all need to know more about Measure J. So next week, we're going to talk about Measure J. So if you haven't already filled out your ballot yet and sent it back, this is a great opportunity to learn all the things you need to learn about Measure J. And I'll have pictures and diagrams and all that stuff. Reminder that there will be a Rio Vision town hall on Measure O and Measure J. That is Monday at 7 o'clock. Same procedure. If you want to watch that one, you have to send the email into Rio Vision SM, I think, at gmail.com. finally just decided to invite all the mayoral candidates, so I will be there. I think as well as Jeff Armstrong, our superintendent of schools, and one of our River Delta Unified School District board members, his wife, Stacia Olson, will be on the call. So I think you're going to get a lot of great information there. So please feel free to tune in. I don't know if they're taking questions. That part I don't know. But plan on next Friday, we'll talk about Measure J some more. And we can cover Measure O again, too. I appreciate you guys all tuning in tonight to talk about, I don't know, we've talked about a lot of things tonight. Cannabis, Measure O, the value of women. We covered a lot of topics. So I always appreciate your support. Please don't forget to tell your neighbors, and don't forget to spread the word. And if you live in Trilogy, put that sign out on October 4th. And if you are planning on seeing me tomorrow at Kevin McNamara's in Homecoming, I'd love to see you. Or if you're planning on seeing me in Trilogy at the tennis courts at 10 a.m., I can't wait to see you. What else? Anything else before I sign off? God, it smells really good in my house right now. By the way, Deborah, I didn't get a chance. I don't know if I told you. If you're still here. By the way, Deborah, I didn't get a chance to tell you, but since you are, I'm going to hear. You did a great job on the council candidate forum. Fantastic. And you look really, and I think when you got on for the mayor's forum, you like totally stood out too, because I think you were wearing yellow, and you look good in yellow. You did a great job. Very, very good. So anything else before I sign off? It's great to see you guys. I'm going to try to set up a... Excuse me. I'm going to try to set up a Zoom call. We're going to do a brunch. So be looking for that on Facebook. I can't put it on Next Door Friends as much as I want to. Basically, the entire community of Trilogy is disenfranchised, but that's another topic for another day. Anyway, so we will be having a little brunch event, and I think we'll probably do that I think we'll do that a little closer to Election Day. And then we'll start making some fun announcements about what comes after November 3rd. You know, parties. Anything else, guys? Thank you so much for joining me tonight. Remember, this will be on the Facebook for the duration, and it will also be available on YouTube for our friends that like to watch it that way. And Anna's just informed me she's not here, but she's staring at me. So anyway, you guys have a great night. And if I don't see you at something this weekend, make sure to check in with me sometime next week by text or email or whatever you choose. And I'm happy to take your questions. Thanks so much, you guys. Have a great night.